part of the countryside.
Beautiful setting.
Beautiful setting. I thought we'd have a chat about, well, we've talked about the classic car market obviously not being very good, to put it mildly, but historic racing itself, which is all part of the classic industry, as
Absolutely.
it were. I was reading about in Europe, and other than the very big meetings, especially in Italy, historic racing has been very, very poor. The grids have dropped dramatically, and in France, and even over here. There's no question. So you wonder what the reason is.
Well,
what do you think?
Difficult to say, but let's just take this country. In some of the research I've looked at and some of the stuff we've discussed previously is that there seems to be too many races.
There are an awful lot of race meetings. There's no doubt about it. And,
I mean,
too many.
I don't know. It's difficult to count them up, but if you turned around and said 50, you wouldn't be. You wouldn't be exaggerating.
No, I don't think you would. If you take the HSCC Masters, the Classic Sports Car Club, the BARC have historic things. I mean, no, you definitely. Everyone has an historic festival these days. So and you get the Silverstone Classic and obviously Goodwood and things, where obviously the grids are always full. But as you go down to the more normal some national meetings, except for one or two instances, the grids have definitely fallen back. And I personally think it's because the money, it's becoming a bit elitist. And some people, obviously can afford it, but the bulk of the population give up an awful lot to go racing.
Well, I mean, the classic for me was when we went up to Silverstone earlier in the year. Well, what was it? A couple of months ago, and they were just testing a few cars, and the motorhomes that were there. Hold on, these people are all amateurs. That doesn't look very amateur to me.
No. I mean,
they've got these Pantechnicons, which
they are. I know, it is staggering.
I mean, you could hold. I keep a family of 4 in them quite easily.
No, I almost thought that'd be a detached house. I agree. But realistically, there are not that many people who can keep that momentum up, and I think that's partly there are too many race meetings. And also I do think that the money, the finances are now beginning to come into it in quite a big way.
Well, if it's going to be, if that's going to be the norm, these motorhomes, it's going to become elitist.
Yes.
As simple as that.
Yeah.
And when I say an elitist in the worst possible sense, because it's going to be elitist if you've got the money.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's not necessarily.
Well, I think
then that means you've got the money, but not necessarily the talent.
Well, I think to be honest,
so that inhibits those who don't have the money and have got the talent, and that's a crying shame.
Well, it is a crying shame. I mean, motor racing's always had that, but I just think it's got, in historic racing in particular, probably gone a bit too far actually. But I suppose what can you do about it? The only thing you can do is if the grids fall, clubs start losing money, they have to start rethinking how they're going to attract the new generation, because a lot of us historic racers, we are actually getting on a bit now. There's a big bulk of people who were there at the beginning almost, and now we're all reaching the age where unfortunately
some of them thinking about dropping off this mortal coil.
Well, you're stopping. I mean, for me personally, there's no doubt part of it is the financial aspect of it, because it's escalated so much more above inflation, if you like, that
I mean, if you wanted to go for a historic race, let's say Silverstone, and it's a day, and you were just you did all your own mechanics, etc., what would it cost you?
Well, I mean, entry fees, I guess, today are around about £300-400. You've got the fuel there and back. You've probably got to stay the night. And even if you did all the work yourself, I mean, you must
wouldn't get any change over 1,000.
I can't see how you could do it, actually. So, all right, you do, if you join a golf club, I don't know, what's that, a couple of thousand a year?
Yeah.
But then...
but then you can go and play every week. Or twice a week, or 3 times a week.
Yeah, that's the difference. But, there are lots of people who can still just about afford that, but then it doesn't take much where it goes up to, £4,000, £5,000, £6,000 a meeting, and then there are not that many who can.
Well, if for the likes of we were doing it, then we wouldn't do it because, or we do it once, and then of course it would be, well, what we've got to do is we really got to win, because otherwise it's not worth it, because we spent out all this
Well,
money.
it's yes,
And then
it's
it becomes-
bucks for fun, and
Yeah,
it isn't fun.
And
no.
that's what it
Yeah.
that's what it loses it all, to my mind.
Yeah, no, I do agree. You do. There is that point. At what stage is it really worth doing? But don't want to say there's still obviously classes and
Well, let's put it this way:
which are
it's
much
already fine having
cheaper.
50, 60 races a year in the UK, but if the people who are running them are not making anything out of it, it's a waste of time.
Well, yeah, but you have clubs, obviously, Raymond, and clubs are a load of people who are like-minded, and unfortunately you have to, sometimes they make money on the grid, sometimes they don't. You have to look at the whole season as a whole,
Yes.
because you're offering a service to the members.
Agreed, but if at the end of the season the club has lost money, then there's something wrong somewhere.
Well, you just have to you have to look at what's gone wrong and how you can rectify it. But at the end of the day, it's also about keeping, I would say, the next generation, interested
Yeah.
in wanting to do historic racing,
Yeah,
which is essentially an amateur sport. still.
That's utterly important.
Yeah, it's meant to be an amateur sport still. Which obviously it's not. all-
But that's the thing, the sort of line between amateur and professional seems to
it's
be
very
merging.
blurred now.
It's
Yeah,
merging as it were.
Yeah, it
you know.
has. Yeah, definitely.
And so that's
Yeah.
that's to my mind where
Yeah.
probably the problem lies.
Yeah, well, also because, of course, the really big meetings where everybody wants to go to, they're quite expensive. So, of course, people then say, oh, well, I'll only do 4 meetings this year, and I want to go to the really big ones, but the other ones I'll give a miss.
Yeah.
And then the grids, you've still got to hire the racetrack and all the rest. So, I don't know, I've got no answer, because it's been very strong. But this year, it really, the grids, with 1 or 2 exceptions.
And it's not just here that things have
Oh
been
no,
really
it's
bad.
been worse in Italy.
Italy
France,
has been it's terrible, and in France as well, it's not
Yeah.
been good.
No, not the historic side. No, it hasn't. So, I just wonder whether it's reached its peak in popularity, and maybe, these things do go. People are, I mean, there's so many other sports and other things you can do in life now, and maybe, just maybe, it's reached its peak, and
of course, everyone's looking for professionals, so they can
Yeah.
get paid. I mean,
Yeah.
I believe there's even you even become a professional tiddlywinks player if you wish.
well, there you
to do
go.
that,
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that's quite cheap, though. I would imagine buying tiddlywinks isn't quite on the same level as going motor racing.
And they're introducing, they're finding new sports all over the place.
That's the thing. There are new sports, you see, all coming, and they all compete. And people do other sort of things where there's an element of danger and adventure. There's so many other things you can go and do these days.
Yeah, rock climbing without any safety harness and all that. Sort
All
of.
that stupid, yeah. Oh, sorry, not stupid, but all that, But you see, for me and people like me, when we got involved, a lot of us had done modern racing, and then we just had this passion. It was all about the passion, and now I think the attitudes changed quite a bit for quite a lot.
Yeah.
It's different, and they're not actually that interested in the cars, the history of the cars at all now. I mean, I may be wrong, but I get that sense that.
Well, maybe next year. Maybe
Anyway,
next
we'll
year, if we
see.
get some certainty in how things
Yes,
are going.
that will help, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get involved in politics, but with the
Yeah,
rubbish that's been
no,
going on
no.
the last 3 years,
So-
it has created a lot of
Oh
problems.
no, you're quite right. It
It
has,
has
yeah.
created a lot of problems, and
Yeah.
the biggest problem is it's created uncertainty.
Huge uncertainty.
So,
yeah,
so
in
if we
everything,
if we can
yeah.
if they can resolve the political problems, i.e.,
Yes.
get
Yeah,
someone in who can do something,
yeah.
then you start to get a degree of certainty. Then other things might
I would think so. I must
Take
in
over.
time. Yeah, definitely.
So we
yeah.
just have to wait and see on that.
Yeah, yeah. So you're not going to tell me your political views then?
Nope.
I'm not going to tell you mine. We must keep well out of party
Absolutely.
politics. But you're right. We do need certainty, and let's hope after this election we have actually got some certainty, and we can all, especially in the business world as well, move on and plan
Yeah.
something. And I just hope that we do sort the Europe, because obviously with our business in Europe,
Yeah.
it is very important that is sorted.
Absolutely, oh boy.
Otherwise,
Absolutely.
it will be bonjour, and that'll be it.
Oh, wow, no, it will be au revoir to you lot.
yeah, quite, yeah.
And we will be bonjour la France.
Yeah, it will have to be, unfortunately. Yeah.
Anyway, I think we've bothered enough about that now.
We've rabbited on.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Is that enough?
Yep.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.